State Television. I am Simiat Abaru. Thank you so much for joining us today on the program. And today on the program, we'll be looking at critical issues in the course of the week. A very interesting one, the federal government labor engaged in claims, counterclaims over Ajero's arrest. That's where we'll be starting the story from. And of course, the issue of minimum wage in Ogun State, for instance, Abeokuta assures Ogun workers of implementation. Dangote prioritizes diesel exports on low local patronage. And of course, political assassin operate under cover of terrorist Nigerian army chief is talking about this. And lastly, we'll be looking at floods in northeastern Nigeria affect million people. And of course, this would be the outlook today on Reporters Lounge, Ogun State Television. I have two gentlemen of the press here this morning to discuss these issues with me. I have Dara Adibigbe on my right. Thank you so much, Dara, for joining today.
It's nice to be here, and we thank God for this privilege to be here again to do it.
And I also have a colleague, Akin Asokere, in the studio with us. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. It feels good to be here.
All right. Yeah. We'll be starting with the federal government and labor, claims and counter-claims over Ajero's arrest. There are critical conversations in the course of the week because of these that happened, especially because it's just a build-up to a certain reality. We have a DSS, we have the labor leader, President Joe Ajero, leaving the country, and of course we were told that he was arrested by the DSS. They did not deny this reality. Of course, at the end of the day, you have these claims of, okay, he was involved, he was invited, he didn't respond to invitation, and that was why they had to do this. Some have looked beyond the fact that Joe Ajero is an NLC president, and of course, because of that, they feel that he is not being individually prosecuted for anything, largely, but because they have to look at it as the fact that he is a labor leader, not just because he's an individual. So whatever it is that the federal government is pushing out, because of the reaction of the NLC, trying to instigate, protests at different levels, and people are saying that let us differentiate him as a labor leader and of course him as an individual. So which of this, is it easy to remove his office from whatever it is that is going on with the DSS or let's say the federal government at large?
Let me just start by saying that while I decry any infringement on human rights of individuals as enshrined in the Constitution, of the Constitution, I do not like the situation where a personality occupying a public place is seen to be investigated upon, and a number of issues will be raised against that person. Joe Ajero for today is the NLC national president. You cannot take Joe Ajero away from the presidency of NLC, because when he was not the president of NLC, was he troubled? He was not troubled. So it is that position that is now making him to become a subject of national interest, because once you occupy that position, you have become a subject of national interest. And anything you do is in the public domain. And that is what most people don't understand when they are saying they are harassing this, they are doing that. Even though I do know that there are some people in private position whose activities are, in one way or the other, are also subject to harassment, maybe because of certain things they do, which we don't know. The issue now is, yes, we don't know the position of the DSS or the federal government, neither are we sure of what they are really investigating concerning him. But the issue that I want to plead with the members or athletes of NLC is the fact that they should not turn Joe Ajero as somebody that is above the law. They should not turn him as somebody that cannot be investigated, except for the immunity that our governors and the president have. After their tenure, they are subject of investigation. So whatever it is that warrants is being invited, the only thing I will plead with the security or agencies connected with surveillance or security or investigating is that they should come clean. Let them know what they are really doing. Because Ajero arrested today, Ajero stopped from going to London today, is not just embarrassing to the government, apart from being an embarrassment to the person of Ajero. It is not a good image, even for this present government, no matter how you put it. Because people will be looking at his person. They will not be looking at the issue at stake.
So looking at the issues now, there are issues of allegations, the investigation is still on, and for people who are reacting, some are, definitely supporting what the federal government is doing, while the other group is saying that this is just political, basically because he's the Labour leader, and definitely because protests, we had the last protest, which of course some are saying that maybe it's a way to stop him from actually leading any protests, henceforth in Nigeria. The politicization of the issue is largely what some stakeholders are saying, that government is interested in this individual, and Labour is saying that even if he has done anything, you have to exercise caution when you're dealing with an issue that you're trying to investigate with him. And they talk about the Labour House and all kinds of issues that they brought forward. So to you, how do you look at the issue and not remove politics or remove politics from it?
Unfortunately, with Joe Ajero, you can't take away politics. Before Joe Ajero, we've had other Labour leaders. A lot of them did not get this kind of treatment. But when you are the Labour leader, and before the election, you were seen with an opposition, the government of the day will now decide how they want to see you. So I want to believe the government of the day is seeing Ajero as an opposition leader.
Okay.
Because over time, before the last election, and even after the last election, Ajero and the NLC have tried to meddle into Labour Party. And when you look at the body language of the other part, which is the Labour Party, you would understand that if you are going to write about the current crisis in the Labour Party, you can't take away Ajero. So there's a probability that the government of the day is probably seeing Ajero as an opposition leader. However, like he rightly said, if you are not a governor or the president, you have no immunity. If there has indeed been an invite, you have to honor the invite. And you have to answer questions.
NLC said, has been reacting to this, saying that he was not actually invited.
No.
DSS insisted that they sent an invitation to him before he was arrested.
The NLC has gone as far as saying no formal invite. But they also went on to say, indeed, there was a phone conversation about a courtesy visit. So if that conversation happened, and Ajero had said that, look, I'm traveling, I won't be available until the 13th of this month, which I think is today or so, then there's technically been an invite. However, I think that he also said something that I like, which happens to be the image of the country internationally. I feel like that arrest could have been done better, considering the fact that he had an international engagement and he had to speak there. Look at the statement that came out of the TUC conference in the UK. He didn't do Nigeria's image too much good. You understand? So I feel like it could have been done in a better way. However, if there had been an invite, Ajero has to honor. Okay,
that is balancing what has happened, and definitely the federal government and Labour, those words are for you. Whatever it is that you're investigating, you should, and you must also follow due process. Definitely, at the end of the day, we just want to have a Nigeria that is working and not a chaotic country. And then moving to minimum wage, we have Abeokuta assures Ogun workers of implementation, and Ogun State Governor has assured Of course, he said that Ogun workers will soon smile, as Governor Dapo Abiodun has said. His administration is working towards implementing the new minimum wage. The governor, who said this at a meeting with the leadership of organized labor at the governor's office, Abeokuta, noted that workers have been instrumental in the economic growth of the state. And of course, the growth the government is experiencing now has been also part of the narrative of the present administration, giving specific kudos to the workers in Ogun State. Before now, a lot of governors have reacted with respect to the minimum wage. Some said they are going to ensure that, some said they can pay, and they are working towards getting that done. The president also promised that he's going to ensure that all governors, all states is able to pay them the new minimum wage. But of course, we've not heard anything from our governor. This is more like the first time you heard something from him saying that he's putting all the machineries in place to ensure that Ogun State is not just the state that would implement it. It will be at the forefront of the state that would implement this federal government law.
I think this is a welcome, or let me say a cheery news. It's cheery because our governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, is saying, I want to be the leader. And when you look at events in Nigeria, Ogun State had always been in the forefront. So our governor can be said to be towing the line of the forebears of the state. He's not doing anything that is contrary to this Ogun standard, you know. And of course, it's an encouragement to workers, so to say, because people have been looking forward to this minimum wage, which I don't think it is even going to take them so much, given the current situation of things as regards the price of PMS, which has skyrocketed, you know, the cost of living in every facet of life, you know. But this is a reassurance from an employer telling his workers, and this should ginger. I want to believe this should ginger workers to want to do more. And in the process of getting to this 70,000 minimum wage, at least everybody was so much aware of the fact that, yes, a number of states could afford, certain states could not afford. Given what we have on ground, Ogun State is seen as one of the leading states in terms of IGR. So for the governor to say this is merely saying the obvious, that yes, we have the ability to do so. So what he has said, we want to see the practicality of it in a not too distant day, and that will be more heartwarming for workers as well as for people, because let us be realistic. The money that circulates within the public space is the workers' money. It's not the money that the politicians receive, because they are saving the money they receive for the next election. But it's only the monthly salary that workers receive when you get to Kuto Market or you get to Itaje. It is the workers' salary. Nice. That the market women, the sellers, the wholesalers, they depend on trusting. When workers are not paid, they groan in market. Sellers groan. So it will be nice seeing Ogun State as the pioneer, or as the number one, as the governor has said. So we are looking forward to our governor making his word is bound this time around. Okay,
one critical thing about this administration and of course the NLC in Ogun State that most people have criticized is largely a conversation around when there are issues to be solved, you don't go and confront the government. You walk into his office and you state what you need, and at the end of the day, you probably get more of what your people need than trying to say you want to state protest and all of that. We've seen that happen in Ogun State. Yeah. And when you ask the NLC chairman in Ogun State, he would say that he's getting more results, having conversations. With the governor. And this is one of it. States are expecting, Nigeria as a whole now, all the states of the Federation are expecting that the labor leaders, ensure that the governors actually pay this one, like he said. They are waiting too long. So expected to get the result, just want the practicality of it. So to you, is this the best we could do in a democracy to ensure that people that are our leaders actually hold accountable, along the line?
First off, for me, when you look at the labor leaders and the Ogun State government, I feel like the model being adopted by labor in Ogun State, and of course, on the side of the government, has to be studied by a lot of states. You hardly hear anything. And when they have demands, before they tell you they want to go on protest, we always see that, it's been sorted. So I feel like that model has to be studied. You don't have to eat the streets all the time in demand for what you should get. That's on one side. However, when the president signed the new minimum wage bill into law in July, I did a quick list. Who do I think can afford? And for me, Ogun State came second for my own list personally, because if Ogun State cannot afford to pay 70,000 naira and the consequential adjustment, it means a whole lot of states, with all due respect to them, may not be able to afford it, considering the amount of IGR and where the state stands strategically when it comes to businesses in the state and what the state generates, and of course what they will get from the federal government. So for me, bringing out this reassurance that yes, we will pay, we are working on it, everybody should work hard so we can pay early, is a very good one for the workers. However, my fear is still there, which is implementation. For crying out loud, Nigerians are battling inflation every day. It's difficult for you to make plans. Oh, I'll get this next week. You have to make plans to add some more money. So for me, Nigerian workers need these payments to begin as soon as possible. So all hands must be on, desk to make sure that these payments are done very fast.
So I don't know if you have a precise date, if one would look at it, that, when exactly do you think even the federal government has signed this into law would probably be making this come to reality for workers in Nigeria as a whole?
The date has been exacted by the signing by the president. What do I mean? What I'm saying is the effective date of implementation is in the bill, because it's a bill.
Exactly.
So which means whatever date you operate now, there has to be an arrears. So I don't have to say yes, we have to begin this evening. Okay. Like Elijah said, it's not the figure that they have now that will settle the current soaring cost of living for any worker. But the joy of it is that, yes, government said this is the new minimum wage. Yes, in Ogun State, Prince Abeokuta has started implementation. And it will even give more courage. It will give more what I can call something that will lure workers to want to do more. I don't know whether I am right. I heard recently that even because of the current situation, the state government has reduced the number of working days by 2 days.
Exactly.
To 3 days instead of 5 working days in the week. And that's a good one too. And it means the government is aligning itself or herself with the way workers have been taking their responding to government. Because come to think of it, like he said, while the end bad governance protest was on, and then will you see any kind of untoward activities as regards that protest in Ogun State, and that's a good one. But again, I should want to add, as governor is implementing for the workers, they should not forget, because they should not forget those who have served the state in the past as well.
Okay.
Because as we normally sing in our past national anthem, the heroes of our labor's past must not be in vain. Those who serve the state meritoriously, I mean the pensioners, they should also be a beneficiary of whatever, because they are the ones who have sacrificed and labored to lay the template of whatever the state is getting today. Because I hear the governor is saying maybe by next year we are preparing a trillion naira budget. It's because somebody have done somewhere. They may not be in service today, but don't forget the sacrifice they have paid.
All right, that's a very instructive point that you have raised, and definitely we hope the government is going to ensure all critical stakeholders are covered by this implementation. We'll be moving to the next one. This has to do with the oil and gas. We talked about inflation. We talked about why we are where we are today. Definitely started from exactly when the subsidy regime, we're told it was gone, last year. And of course, a lot of things started happening. We didn't know it would get to this point. But we're talking about the oil and gas industry. And people said refineries in Nigeria would change the state of things. And yes, that's the hope of the common people. But at the end of the day, we are having, some say it's better to start a conversation around having a refinery and deal with the issues that comes with it than not starting at all. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery has said that it is forced to export 97% of its refined product due to low patronage by local oil marketers. This issue of Dangote prioritizes diesel export on low local patronage. We thought this is going to be a game changer, and some said, oh, the cabals are there, they just want to frustrate this man. If 97%, we talk about cost of production, and now we have it at a cheaper rate, talking about diesel and other products that Dangote is refining now. And you have, this conversation, in the news almost all the time, saying that, we're going to sell to private depots. We're going to private, what's it called, the marketers, independent marketers. No, NLPCL is going to be in charge. The back and forth of this issue. But now we've been told that 97% of the product they refined after they started the operation, were exported. Due to low patronage. Where exactly can we situate the problem?
When you look at the Dangote refinery, the marketers on one side and the NNPC on the other side, you will see the back and forth and you feel like, do we need a spiritual solution to the problem? I'll tell you why. If Dangote has a refinery, 100%, just over 40% can serve Nigeria's oil need in terms of fuel, jet fuel and diesel. You then wonder, this refinery has started producing diesel. You then wonder why a whole Dangote refinery will struggle to sell 29 trucks in a week. And then the marketers feel like it is better to import. Despite the fact that since this refinery started producing diesel, they've been crashing the prices. If you probe further, you find out that some of these marketers have written to the presidency to say, Dangote refinery's diesel is too cheap. It is affecting our projected income. It means that some people are sitting somewhere and they don't want to let go of what they earn either per day, monthly or weekly. This is why I fault the presidency. Look, you need to come out and address this drama. Because a reduction in the price of either diesel, petrol, or even there are people who still use kerosene, a reduction in the prices of all these things will go a long way to reducing cost of living in the country. So basically, when you try to understand the Dangote refinery, now let me ask you, let me paint another scenario. Now, when Dangote refinery started producing diesel, they were quick to fix the price. Oh, we have dropped it again. Oh, we have dropped it again due to market realities. Why is it that now that they've started producing petrol, they are pushing the responsibility of fixing prices to the NNPC? So all parties need to sit down and tell Nigerians the truth, because to me, looking at them from outside, it seems like just pure politics, and there are some people somewhere who do not want to let go of what they earn at the detriment of Nigerians.
The old forces. And some would say that without them, it's difficult for anything to work. You know, some said they want to actually frustrate this man. You know, in a couple of months when this refinery started operation, you could see Dangote himself, you know, looking so stressed. And you know, you ask yourself, the richest man in Africa, looking this stressed. And of course, you ask yourself different questions. There is a drama going on. Some said it is politics, you know, the federal government should stand and take a position because of the effects this low and cheap, you know, fuel would actually have on the cost of living of Nigerians. Nigerian people are largely the people that we're talking about, and we're the one going through the different phases of the different implementation of the policies of government. So exactly what do you think about this issue?
See, the issue of the oil sector in Nigeria is an issue of the more you see, the less you know. It's only those who are within that system that they know what they are doing. All of us that are outside, we are just strangers in that business. Until, you know, it's like any other thing that is affecting the Nigerian psyche. We operate in a way that I can call in an opaque manner until we are transparent and we allow sincerity and openness to operate in what we are doing in Nigeria. We will still continue to inflict unnecessary hardship upon the common man. And I don't know for how long we want to do all these things. And that's why it looks as if majority of things that Nigeria should be benefiting from, particularly in terms of investment, Nigeria is not benefiting from it because the business climate is not inviting. The ease of doing business, a lot of investment should have taken place in this oil sector that we are talking about. But it looks as if some people want to just sit down, determine what happens in that sector, until, you know, I said it on this table, that if this is the only thing that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu wants to come clean off, he should do it and get it done quickly. Because, for crying loud, for how long shall we continue in this lockdown, in a God-given resource that should be benefit to us, that has become the bane of problems for us in this country? Okay. You know, even though we are talking about oil, again another factor that we did not look. I know it was not what President Tinubu intended. If he had not taken the issue of the floating of the naira along with what the oil subsidy, peradventure, what we are seeing now will not be it. Because even as much as we are trying to resolve the issue of fuel being available, is the naira stable? What is the value of the naira? And those are the things that are causing more hardship for the people. Because by the time you wake up in the morning today and you find out that you are buying a commodity at 5,000 naira, by the time you want to go in the evening to go and check that price, it's already maybe about 15,000 naira. Because everybody is basing it on the value of the naira to the dollar.
So when you see government, the federal government to be precise, try to defend whatever is going on in Nigeria, they say these are critical steps that the government needs to take, and they're building a foundation that they could build a lot of things on. He was in China, he was saying this to the Nigerian community over there, and different places they've been to, they were repeatedly saying the same thing, saying that these are critical steps that need to be taken. That's why we are where we are, that's why they are pushing this and that. And for the refineries working, some said, we talk about this group of people that do not want this to work. So what would be your message to the government if there are people that are trying to ensure that whatever policy you're trying to put in place is not working. What do you have? What message can you give the federal government in this regard?
First off, it may sound a bit controversial, but something needs to be done about the NNPC. The NNPC, to me as an outsider, looks like an organization where there are some certain set of people who are not visible, but they determine what happens. And when you look at the president, his kind of person, and you look at the exact kind of care he's exerting when it comes to dealing precisely with the NNPC, then you know that there's a lot that needs to be explained to Nigerians. Look, once you are able to set the NNPC in the right direction, you will find solution to all this. How do you explain that you're reading in the news that, okay, part of the negotiations that the NNPC is having with the Dangote refinery is that they want to have a permanent office inside the refinery? What do you need that for crying out loud? Do the business with the Dangote refinery and go away. But again, like I said, until some people come out sincere, and until this government is ready to unravel the mystery surrounding the NNPC, we may be moving around this same circle. Today, Dangote comes and says, oh, they don't like my diesel. The next day, oh, it is not NNPC's fault and all those. We'll just keep going if the government doesn't deal with the problem of the NNPC.
The problem has to be dealt with, and majority are hoping that this administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is able to have a grip of what is going on and, of course, solve the problem once and for all, and which is what they have also been telling us, Nigerians, that they are working round the clock to ensure that the plight of the common people, everything is just getting to be solved. Moving away from that conversation, of course, if you want to join us in this conversation, our studio line will be on the screen for you to be part of the discussions. Where exactly are you coming in? Is it the issue of minimum wage, the assurance given by the governor of the state? Is it the Labour federal government claims and counterclaims about the Ajero's arrest? Is it the political discussions that we're about going into, which of course a statement was made by the chief of Nigerian Army Chief saying that political assassins operate under cover of terrorists. And of course you have Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja saying that terrorism provides cover for other crimes such as kidnapping, armed robbery, and other violent acts to thrive. He was delivering a speech, and of course it was the third counterterrorism and counterinsurgency seminar organized by the Nigerian Army Resource Center. This is one area we talk about the current state of the economy, that Nigerians are still wondering what can be done and what should be done with the issue of insecurity at different levels. You know, this is somebody at the end of affair in the security sector saying that there are political assassins, you know, operating under cover of terrorists, and this is more like strange to some people, while some said, oh, it's not strange. When they say that there was an attack in so place, it might not just be that the terrorists are there to attack anybody, but of course take you know, people out basically because of political calculations and all of that. So I don't know how you react to such a news coming from the Army Chief.
Most of the things that happen within the public space, they are political in nature. Okay. Terrorism is a political act, whether you like it or not. Because there are certain principles that are guiding those who engage in terrorism. Maybe they are fighting a cause. And in fighting a cause, we are prosecuting a political cause. So the demand is saying, yes, political assassins are hiding under terrorism. It is still under the same umbrella of politics. Everything you do, you know, is political within the political space, because there are fundamentals that are guiding it. However, another arm of it is when you begin to look at those elements that could have given rise to such things, which is, you can say, tribalism, ethnicism, injustice, and of course, religion. Of course, one of the major factors that seem to have given rise to what we are seeing today, particularly in Nigeria, is the issue of poverty. They often say that an idle hand is a devil's workshop. Majority of the people that these people are deploying to use for either banditry, kidnapping, terrorism, armed robbery, or are people who ordinarily, one way or the other, when you interview some of them, they are literate. Few of them are literate, but many of them are illiterate just because, number one, they couldn't get employed. Number two, some are not even literate because they don't have anybody to nurture them to the level of being literate. So they are left to care for themselves because of the situation that we are. Until the level of our poverty is reduced, until we scale up the level of our literacy, we move up from the level of looking at primordial things in decision taking. You know, most of these things will only be reduced. You know, as we speak, Nigeria is one of the most nations, according to 2023 statistics, that has been tied down as a terrorist country today. So, and it is as a result of the preparation of the society. We knew what gave room for all these things, the issue of Boko Haram, how it developed. And we have said we have degraded Boko Haram, but what do we see today? They have joined forces to become bandits, kidnappers, rustlers, cow rustlers here and there. And it is because there are no jobs to take care of the interests of these people.
No, some would say that getting to hear this from the Nigerian Army chief is more like saying that they are not really doing their jobs as expected. You know, some talked about transparency of the prosecution of security in Nigeria, and if he is saying this, definitely he's in the know of so many things that the public is not aware, largely. They talked about, okay, for instance, we have the NIN being linked to our phones, the same now. And Nigerians are really expecting that time that we have something happened. Who are these politicians, trying to do this? Let's get to know their names. Let them see the need to be prosecuted. Let others that are trying to do the same thing get to learn the consequences that they are going to face along the line. And that in itself, apart from the current poverty level, would deter a lot of people that are lining up to join in the insecurity, benefiting from the security situation in the country. That's so much we have not seen in the country.
Well, in terms of what the Army Chief has said, look, he has a point. However, it sounds like another excuse. The average Nigerian does not want to care if it's a political assassination. All he wants is, I want to feel secured when I'm going to bed. However, you see, this is the result of having a problem and not dealing with the problem. It will give birth to other problems. Terrorism in Nigeria became popular when Boko Haram came. We did not properly, early enough, decimate Boko Haram like they said they have done. Now, the Boko Haram insurgency gave birth to kidnapping and all forms of crimes, which we are still battling right now. So, for example, if I now take you to, for example, case study, the Southeast, do you know how many? I can count at least 4 or 5 aspirants who lost their lives before the last general election. You know what we hear? Unknown gunmen, and those cases are swept under the umbrella of terrorism. I'm not making a case for the ESN yet, but they too will also claim responsibility. You know why? They want to tell you that, look, we are on ground, we will show you. You understand what I'm saying? However, at the end of the day, for the military chief to be saying this, it simply means that he knows some things that we do not know. If they know that some of these things are political assassinations, then deal with it. And when it comes to the whole process of dealing with terrorism in Nigeria, again, it is a problem of insincerity. If we are sincere enough would have gotten to the root of this matter. I understand that it's very difficult to fight a faceless enemy. However, if you are sincere enough, if you ask me, why would you give amnesty to someone that has made thousands of people homeless? Let them pay. Let them go to jail. Let people suffer for their offenses so that when they come back and say they want to recruit from a particular local government, probably in the northern part of the country, they'll be like, no, I don't want to be a part of it because I know there's no amnesty for me. Nobody will give me some money and reintegrate me into the society. But when you do that, a jobless person might feel like, oh, look, I'm jobless. Let me join these people. I'll come back and say, oh, I've repented, oh, I'm not doing it again. Oh. And they will
get compensated.
Exactly. What about those who are still in the IDP camps? So,
okay, it is really a deep conversation to have when it comes to security matters. Some said, like you said when we started, the more you know,
the more you see,
the less you know. So we have a caller. Bayo is calling from.
Well, my name is Bayo, not Bayo.
Rufai.
Yes.
Thank you, Rufai, for calling. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Asheshe.
Asheshe, thank you so much.
Yes, I have to contribute. Your guests there have been talking nicely, and I really appreciate them. I think our politicians, the way they are doing all this, they want us to be public. Number one, they know all these things, and they are more exposed. Because all of their children, their wives, they are in abroad. No, even the least politician in Nigeria now, chairman, can never see their children here. So they just want us to be public. So whenever there's election time, everybody will be just begging for Gary and rice from them. And everybody will run after them. Because if they know, if they want it all to be okay, everybody will know their rights. We know what is going on in America presently now. Some people are here in Nigeria, we can't do that. Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rufai, for calling. We appreciate your contribution on the program. This is one area, a lot of Nigerians are interested. We want security. Instead, the needs of the people are really not so much the basic things of life. You want education, you want water, you need food and shelter. Those are the basic things that a normal Nigeria would desire to have, and not get problematic trying to look for what to eat along the line. So this conversation will take us to a severe problem, particularly it happened in northeastern Nigeria. That's severe flooding, which has killed at least 30 people and affected more than 1 million others. The collapse of the Alao Dam on the Ngada River in Borno State on Tuesday happened, caused some of the state was flooding since the same dam collapsed 30 years ago and prompted residents to flee their homes. It was really a devastating news when this particular news broke out, and you could see homes, or different homes being submerged by the flood, and you have government reacting. Emergency agencies are also on ground to support them. And the precise narrative here says that the dam collapsed 30 years ago. Some would say that, do we not have people see this before it happened? Do we not have people working to ensure that there was no repeat of such very sad news because of the many millions of people that it affected?
Let me start by saying sympathies to the people and government of Borno State on this devastating flood disaster, which is of a great magnitude. I've never seen such in my living in Nigeria. The last probably that one would even want to compare with it was not as at that level, and that was in 1981. In Oyo State, during the government of late Chief Bola Ige, I've forgotten the name of that river. Maybe I will remember. My memory will help me. But what I want to say, surely we have had this. You heard you mention the fact that that dam, similar thing happened 30 years ago, and it's repeating itself now. while some are laying claim to climate change, what I can easily see along that path is the fact that when you don't plan, what you are simply saying is that you are planning to fail. And the ill-preparedness for such a thing for the future is the result of what you have seen today. And it's so gargantuan that I don't know at the spiral effect that the flood will bring in terms of not just the well-being of the people, in the area of health, in the area of education, in the area of even security as well as food security. Because when you look at the number of people that are being kept in the IDP camp that they are using temporarily, you begin to wonder, how many of these people can the state feed effectively? I heard the state government was preparing to get those who prepare meal for those people, but how many can they feed effectively? What of those people who have died, who are rendered homeless now as we speak? What of those monumental loss of those things that we treasure? Say, for example, I was told that a number of animals were let loose
about 80%
from the zoo. You can imagine where the lion will be if it has not died now, because I reportedly learned that a lion was let loose out of the zoo. What of those cemeteries that has been swept off? You can imagine the humongous effect that we have on earth.
It's a combined
so many things, and that's why I feel sorry for those in government for not planning ahead. That dam was done with the planning of the population of people around that time. But you and I know that by now the population of that area will have grown and astronomically when you compare the fact that Nigeria is now 250 million in population. 30 years ago, how many people were we?
Especially that.
So it goes to show that the government and the people should be responsible in planning ahead. There are in the past we used to hear of rolling plans that the federal government was doing, particularly during the era of the military. There were rolling plans that we had when General Gowon was in charge, during the Civil War up to the 1976, when it's, yes, if I'm right, 1975, July 29, when his government was overthrown by the late General Murtala Mohammed. There were rolling plans. They will be doing all those rolling plans. It was such rolling plans that gave room to the Lagos Ibadan Expressway, that is now the busiest road southwest of Sahara.
Okay.
Many other things, but it is our planlessness that is causing all these things.
Talking about planning and talking about Borno State, we talked about Boko Haram. They suffered greatly with the kind of insecurity challenges, and they're just getting better. Out of school children, the homes being destroyed by terrorists, and all of that. Is this not going to also, the gains so far, especially with the way people talk about the governor, Governor Zulum, and the kind of work he's doing? This more like the gains of how many years of trying to rebuild Borno State to a state where they no longer would have all these issues and
For me, it's sad. Pictures and videos from Maiduguri, you'd feel so sorry for the people of the state. However, definitely the setback will be there. Like you rightly said, every aspect of human life will be affected. However, I still think that we're still not asking the right questions. The dam will not be there without a government agency or some certain people having to look after it. whose job is it to look after the dam and maintain the dam? The dam will not just wake up and say, oh, I am collapsing today. There will be signs. So who are those responsible? What explanations do you have? Because the damage is much. I read a piece in one of the dailies where the state governor is saying, look, federal government, we need more help. We can't solve this on our own. Please, more help. Those monies could have been used for other things. Now we have to resettle people, give out palliatives all over again and all. So for me, I think the right questions must be asked. Whose responsibility is it to look after that dam? He cannot just wake up and collapse. He can't.
Okay, it cannot just...
Exactly.
Yes, definitely.
That will happen. So are we paying deaf ears to the warnings?
Some said this is an attitude, sort of. Some said no, it would happen even though they try as much as possible to mitigate the happenings or the extent with which the damage would be done. But then it's a major call on the part of the government to ensure that all critical stakeholders, everywhere in Nigeria, all the people that have responsibilities and duties to do certain things should always be on their toes to ensure that things happen, and of course things happens really well.
Sorry, before you round up, the river that I wanted to mention in the Ibadan State experience in 1981 had to do with Ogtv.
Ogtv, okay. It has happened before. Let's try and work towards a situation where we don't have things like this repeating itself. Thank you so much for being a part of Reporters Lounge today on Ogun State Television. I want to appreciate my guest once again, Aki Asokiri. Thank you. I got the name correct here. Asokiri. Yeah. And yes, Dara Devinku, thank you for being our guest today on the program again.
It's my pleasure to be here. And we thank viewers for joining us on the program too.
Viewers, thank you for joining, and next week will be another time on the program. Definitely, you can watch the repeat version of the program tonight. 11 o'clock is the time. Bye for now.